Hi and welcome to another Excel training video. Now this video is looking at how to filter chart information, and I'll just demonstrate this first of all just on this data here. So I'll turn this into a chart. So insert, I'll just use a standard chart there. Now here, if we wanted to filter by these different users, for example, first thing we might want to do is switch the row and column data, and then what we could do is go ahead and use the filter icon here. But my feeling is this actually takes too many steps to be effective, so I don't like doing it this way. What I prefer to do is to turn the chart into a pivot table directly, rather than even going through the step of making it into a table. Now before I make anything into a pivot table, I always turn it into a table first of all. So Control T, when you click anywhere within the chart, my table does have headers, click OK. That is now an actual table. I'm going to double click on this here to rename that, and I'm going to call it person. Hopefully that's what those are. And now if I just click anywhere within inside the actual table, one of the options I've got from the Table Tools design is to summarize with a pivot table. So here we go, I'm going to put this on an existing worksheet and click OK. But in a second, what you'll notice is that it's referring to the table or range by the table number. Now what's really relevant about that, the table name, is that if I add extra data into here, the pivot table that I produce will refer to the full size of the data, rather than if this wasn't actually a table, it would refer to a fixed range. And if I added data underneath, I would then need to redefine the range that pivot table referred to. So it makes the pivot table actually dynamic, and I'll demonstrate this later on. So I want it to be the existing worksheet, and I'm just going to put it in here. Okay, what would we do? We'd drag the person down to rows, and then we can just tick all of these, and they basically go in weeks 1 to 5 going across. So you'll see that's almost replicated the table we have here, but the difference is now I can turn that into a chart and click OK. And now with the chart that I've got here, I have a filter here that I could choose as my filter. Now this is still too many steps for me, and what I prefer to do is take that chart and straight away insert a slicer for the person. So there we have the slicer for the person. Now all we need to do to apply a filter is single click on any one of these people to see the data for that person. If I want to see all of them, I click on there to clear the filter, and again I see all of them. Now I think that's a much cleaner way of doing a filter. I don't like this particular layout showing the headings. It may be that you don't like the headings over here on the slicer. You can always go into the settings and say don't use the headers if you want to see that in a slightly cleaner format. And of course you can choose to select the chart and perhaps move it onto its own sheet or onto a different sheet. You can make it onto a new sheet, for example. So if the only issue is if I put it on a new sheet, it becomes the only object on that sheet. So if I want to put it onto another sheet, I'd have to create the other sheet first of all, and then go back here and move, and now I choose that sheet from here, and then it becomes an object in that sheet rather than the only thing on that sheet. And clearly I can take the slicer itself and cut and paste that as well, and then just use the slicer over here. So this would then become my report sheet. Okay, I hope that's been useful. I think it's shown a much easier way, certainly for a user, to actually filter the data in a chart, and my answer is simply to use a pivot chart rather than a normal chart. I hope it's been useful, and thank you for listening.